Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge. I am Amanda Cromhope from Truth Loyalty and the Blind Loyalty Trust. We interview world leaders in loyalty blindly. The challenge is about creating loyalty insight spontaneously and about a lot of fun. Simultaneously, it is about raising the awareness of the Blind Loyalty Trust, and 100% of the proceeds from my book, Blind Loyalty 101 Loyalty Concepts Radically Simplified, go towards the trust. We hope you enjoy the Blind Loyalty Challenge. Today's Blind Loyalty Challenge takes us to the UK and a good friend in the industry, Mark Reed. He is the Director of Sales for the Leisure Business at Enterprise Mobility. Mark, wonderful to have you on the Blind Loyalty Challenge.
Hello, Amanda. Thank you so much. It's a privilege and quite humbling to have been tagged by Dave, who's such a good industry friend and expert.
That's right. So tagged by Dave Andriadakis, and I can see behind you the Blind Loyalty book, which you assure me wasn't strategically placed, but you were doing your homework before we started.
That is true.
Okay, well, I'll really challenge you on questions about certain chapters, but my first question for you, chapter 96 is around emotional loyalty. What is your favorite case study or example of emotional loyalty?
Oh, great question. Thank you. I've got a really personal one, and it's the reason that I'm such a fantastic advocate for American Express. My best friend's dad died 2 years ago from leukemia, unfortunately. And Bruce Springsteen played 3 years ago, but Bruce Springsteen played at Hyde Park, and I was able to use the American Express AXS tickets to get access to tickets for myself, my best friend, his brother, my wife, and I think one of the key things that I look at with emotional loyalty personally is when I look at loyalty programs, it's so easy to give people status and to give people amazing experiences just by circumstance. If I travel to a hotel if I travel to a hotel or travel to work in a city every week and happen to use the same hotel, I'll quickly rack up both status in both hotels and airlines. But what about the couple that go on every 5 years on an anniversary and they stay at the Waldorf Astoria in New York? They're not going to get status. That's their one trip every 5 years. But to them, the emotional experience that brings them back to that loyalty program and back to that hotel is just as important as anyone who can pick out, well, more important to them for anyone that can pick it for transactional reasons. And if I can go back through the Amex program, it gives everyone who's on that program access to amazing experiences, restaurants.
Stunning.
Everything like that, and tickets that we experienced, and it's still one of the greatest days of my life. My wife wasn't even a Bruce Springsteen fan, and it's one of the greatest days of her life.
But, he dragged her along.
Yeah,
I know.
Incredible.
I know that you and Dave share a passion of music, so that's a wonderful example. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, certainly. I know we spend a lot of time together talking about music, watching music. So it's one thing that's resonated, and it's locked me into that program, honestly.
Stunning. More wonderful. What a great example. Great. So your second question, chapter 90 is around commercial uplift from loyalty programs. In your opinion or your experience, does loyalty really work? Does it really drive commercial uplift?
I think loyalty does drive commercial uplift, but I think that ultimately you have to detach commoditization from the loyalty program sometimes to understand that the best and the most valuable proposition for a customer or a member isn't necessarily the one that might generate you the most income per transaction necessarily. So, I'm coming from the ancillary side of the business. Obviously, I sell our product into loyalty programs. And so often you see decisions made through procurement exercise, which isn't the right decision for the customer, and therefore it's not the right decision for the program.
Yeah.
Yes, the supplier might pay a huge amount to win exclusivity within that space, and they all feel fantastic and pat each other on the back afterwards when they come out of that meeting. But if that supplier can't provide a service in many of the cities in which that loyalty program operates, or it doesn't bring members back or doesn't excite them back through to the program to engage, I think you're failing both the customer but also the program. And I think we made too many decisions based on the commercials, when understanding actually if you just get the right partner, then the commercials come from it.
Absolutely. I talk about this often when I talk about and also not just you've got obviously the customer best interests at heart, but also does it match the brand values that you're trying to accentuate? So often the commercials are driving a different partner decision than what's better for the customer or the brand. So lovely. Okay, my last question is, you have the privilege, as you said, with Enterprise to work across multiple industries. Which industry, in your opinion, best lends itself to most behavioral change through loyalty?
I think there's a huge opportunity through the fintech or the banking sector at the moment. I think that you look at the likes of Chase Travel in North America, where you've got Gen Zs and millennials moving away from the OTAs to book more with their banks. You can see what American Express do so fantastically well. I've already mentioned them, but through the TLS program and through their lifestyle services, that doesn't really exist. Certainly not in the UK and across mainland Europe. Banks lean too heavily on CLO to provide card offers to their members. But I think the next big thing coming, I think there's suppliers in the space coming into the industry and coming into this market that are going to change things. So I think banking and finance, it's commoditized as well. There's so small margins on the interest rates or what that bank can provide. If you can add a loyalty element that brings them back through to get something else, I think that's a huge opportunity.
I always tell the world, I'm obviously based here in South Africa, but have the opportunity to work all over. But I always tell the world, you want to look at banking and loyalty programs, the best in class is here in South Africa, without question.
100%. Standard Bank, etc. Some of the stuff that they're doing over there is phenomenal. And there's some fantastic and bolt-on lifestyle benefit programs over here, but no one's really nailed that Chase Travel TLS program in Europe, apart from American Express, I suppose. And I think there's a huge opportunity to do more.
Great. Well, cool. You've cruised through just as you would as a travel expert, had not even travel questions. So amazing. So who would you like me to interview on the Blind Loyalty Challenge?
Thank you. Look, I've been working with this partner now for a few years, but especially over the last year, we've seen the way the program's been developed has been incredible, and that's Scandinavian Airlines. And I think what they really understand most is that the loyalty program Eurobonus is so intrinsic to the entire proposition, almost to the point that there's no detachment. There's not a referral program for the airline and then a loyalty program. You book, you get points, you earn points, etc., etc. And so I would like to tag Carolyn Bergstrom, who's the head of ancillaries at Scandinavian Airlines.
Amazing. I haven't spoken to Sass or Carolyn either, so that's amazing. Great, lovely connection. And then what question would you like to ask another participant on the Blind Loyalty Challenge?
I would like to ask, so we're constantly hearing in loyalty what the next big thing is, what the next big opportunity is. It's AI at the moment, I suppose, and I could talk to you for another 3 hours about that if you ever wanted to. What's the big threat to loyalty and the industry that we all work in? It doesn't have to be travel, but what are the headwinds that we're facing, and particularly for that person or that program, whoever you're speaking to, what do they see coming ahead that's going to be a challenge?
That's amazing. What a great question. You're right. Normally the question gets asked the other way around. What's the big opportunity? And you're right, AI is mentioned all the time, but what's the big threat? Super, I love it. Mark, it's great to see you. It's great to put you in the hot seat. We normally bump into each other at conferences, but it's just lovely to see you. And thank you for doing the Blind Loyalty Challenge.
Amanda, thanks so much. It's been a real privilege, and I look forward to hearing from Carolyn and your future guests.